Hi everybody, so it's Mackenzie and I am coming back to do my next little video on natural family planning and sharing more information with you guys about natural family planning. I did already make an introduction video. If you would like to look at that, I will leave the link in the comments or in the description. And this particular video, I'm going to talk about natural family planning in the aspect of avoiding or postponing a pregnancy. First, I'm going to say that natural family planning is like super effective. I think it's actually proven to be like more effective than any other method if it's used correctly. Now, the problem is not the method, but user failure that causes accidents to happen or for it to technically not be effective. But like if you are a condom user and you just decide not to use it one day, or you don't put it on right or whatever, that's not the condom's fault. That's your fault. And same with natural family planning. If you are practicing natural family planning to avoid a pregnancy, but you don't follow the rules correctly, that's not natural family planning, that's you. So it's very unforgiving, probably more so than other methods, because if you are cheating or like stretching your limits with natural family planning, you're actually doing that during a time that you are obviously fertile. Because if you know for a fact you're fertile and you think, oh, no big deal, and go ahead and have sex anyway, that's like basically trying for a baby. So whereas if, you know, you aren't charting and you say forgot to use a condom one time, well, I mean, out of 25 to a 35-day cycle, you know, there's a pretty good chance that that happened on a time you weren't fertile anyway. But with this method, your error is gonna be when you're fertile. Therefore, the user failure rate could be anywhere from like 10 to 20%. If you plan to do this to avoid pregnancy, be dedicated to it, read the book, maybe even go to a class. I think some Catholic churches have classes that you can take. Make sure you know what you're doing if you're dead set on not having another baby, and if you're doing it to postpone, you know, and if just know if you're willing to cut corners, then you're willing to take the chance to have another baby. And actually we are one of those, because we were practicing natural family planning for a while, well, the whole time really. And in the first month that we said, we can stretch the rules a little bit because, you know, we want to have another baby, so it would be okay if we had another baby. That's the month we got pregnant with number 3. So, anyways, to the point. In my intro video, I talked about the 3 major fertility signs, which is your basal temperature or your waking temperature, your cervical fluid, and your cervical positioning. So basically, I'll start with the temperature because that's the easiest part. If you're taking your temperature every morning when you wake up, preferably at the same time every day, or at least within an hour of the same time every day, and it's to the tenths, then you chart that on a chart, and you can print off your own chart. You can get it out of Taking Charge of Your Fertility or another natural family planning book, or there's a great website called fertilityfriend.com. It's used a lot for mothers trying to conceive, but I've always plugged in my paper chart into that too, just to make sure it was telling me the same thing. You can also chart it on there. Anyways, you take your temperature every morning and you record it that day so you don't forget what it was. And then you start on day 1 of your cycle, which is the first day of your period. So you start recording your temperature. Then at some point, you will see a temperature spike. Now, almost always a temperature spike means that you are either just ovulated or you are about to ovulate. So you are ovulating that day or you're going to ovulate the next day or within the next few hours. Once your temperature spikes, then you want to make sure that it stays spiked and it wasn't just a fluke, like if you were sick or something. When your temperature stays spiked like that for 3 days and you see the pattern of, okay, my temperatures were down here, now they're up here for 3 days, then you are no longer fertile. You have already ovulated. Your eggs are dead. So you either got pregnant already or you are no longer fertile. You're not gonna get pregnant from that point until your next cycle. So that is one of the first methods to know. The reason why you want to wait 3 days, that's for avoiding pregnancy. You want to be safe. You're waiting 3 days. You probably ovulated that day, maybe the next day. However, you get pregnant 1 day after ovulation because your egg is still there, and so you want to wait 3 days, 2 to 3 days, 3 being the absolute safest if you definitely don't want to get pregnant, just to make sure that your eggs are for sure gone and you are not going to conceive. So the next way to notice your fertility and avoid pregnancy would be to check your cervical fluid. Now, in my last video, we talked about stages of cervical fluid being like dry, sticky, creamy, and then like wet, slippery, and then dry. So, during your cycle, most women, you know, they're on their period. Then right after their period, usually most women are dry. On dry days, you are not fertile. You're not fertile at all. There's no way you can get pregnant because even if you have sex, sperm cannot survive when you are dry. So it's not going to happen. So that is one way to know. The other way to know is like after your temperature has spiked for the cycle, you don't really have to worry about your cervical fluid because like I said, the egg is dead and gone. You don't have to worry about cervical fluid after a confirmed ovulation. So that's the other way you know. So typically, the first 5 days of your menstrual period, you are safe. You are not going to get pregnant those first 5 days. So if you're choosing to have sex on your period for the first 5 days, you're safe. Then from there, typically you're dry at least a few days after, you're safe. Women, very few, but some women are never dry. They are sticky all the time. If you have a pattern of being sticky all the time and it's very clear that it's not a fertile phase, then you can count those as dry days, but only women who never have dry days ever. So that's something you would need to confirm over several months just to make sure. For everyone else, if you have sticky cervical fluid, you are probably not going to get pregnant. However, if you are very serious about trying to avoid a pregnancy, you should not risk it because sticky cervical fluid, sperm cannot survive in. However, that is the build-up towards ovulation. So if you have sticky cervical fluid and you have sex that day, there's a chance that your sticky cervical fluid later in the day, before the sperm dies, which the sperm would die within a few hours in that kind of environment. But there's a chance that within those few hours, your sticky cervical fluid could turn into creamy or wet, slippery cervical fluid, in which case the sperm could stay alive and you could get pregnant. Chances of that happening are pretty rare. You can double check that with the cervical position if you wanted to. For me, basically, when we were preventing on the first couple sticky days, I considered myself infertile. But the couple days, you know, day 3 of being sticky, day 4 of being sticky, I wouldn't chance it because I didn't want to have a baby, and I knew that if I had already been sticky a few days, it was gonna happen at some point, so I didn't chance it. The chance is very low, but if you really want it to be effective, then you don't take the chance, and that is why, because it could change after a little while. Once you get to know your body, then you can kind of decide what the risks truly are. Like for me, I knew that I never went from sticky to wet in 1 day or even 2 days. It was always like 4 or 5 days of that. So that's why I decided for myself that the first few days of having sticky cervical fluid was going to be okay for me, that I was going to be safe. But for others, it might not be. So you kind of can wager that one on your own. Like I said, the safest would be only your dry days. So then from there, creamy cervical fluid, you definitely don't want to have relations during that time. And then your slippery cervical fluid, or slippery, wet, stretchy, that kind of stuff, that is when you are most fertile. That is when almost all pregnancies occur. So if you definitely don't want to do anything during those few days if you are trying to avoid a pregnancy. And then, like I said, after the temperature shift for 3 days is like the max to make sure you're safe. However, if you go 1 or 2 days and then you're dry, then that's safe too, because like I said, nothing's going to survive when you're dry. And if you did dry up, more than likely your eggs are already dead anyway. That's why you dried up. So that is for the cervical fluid. Now for cervical position, I personally do not use that method. I never have. I think I've tried to check like once or twice, and I didn't know what I was doing, and I decided that I didn't want to do it. So, but for people, especially people who are really trying to avoid a pregnancy for sure, or if they're just kind of new to it and unsure of the other two, or they're getting confusing signals, cervical positioning is a great way to double check what you already know or what you think is going on with your body. It can take a while for a woman to grasp checking her cervical positioning, because most women haven't done that before and they don't really know what they're looking for, what they're doing. So you might take some time to grasp that while using other methods if you're wanting to wait to go strictly to natural family planning. Obvious changes in your cervix are going to be right around ovulation. The best way to check is to insert your middle finger into your vagina up to feel your cervix, and you wait and want to be squatting. That's the best position. Whatever position you do it in though. Some people do it on the toilet. Some people put one leg up on something higher to do it, just to open themselves up. It doesn't really matter that much how you do it, but what matters is you're doing it the same way every time you check, because you're checking for change. And if you're changing your position of how you're standing or sitting or squatting, then it's going to be hard to tell the change in where your cervix truly is. You need to learn the difference if you are checking for cervical position between high and low, open and closed, and soft and firm. So for high versus low, you're checking the height of the cervix in the vagina. Is it low, midway, or high? It rises the closer you get to ovulation. Open versus closed, it's going to be closed normally, and then it starts to open closer to ovulation. If you've had a child vaginally before, it'll be a teeny tiny bit open, but you'll notice that from the beginning. For soft versus firm, it's going to be firm like your nose to the time, and then closer to ovulation it'll be soft like your lips. After ovulation, your cervix is going to drop abruptly and go back to the state it was in the beginning or way before ovulation. So those changes are only right around ovulation time. To avoid pregnancy to the fullest, you want to take no chances. use one sign of upcoming ovulation, could be the smallest chance that it takes you to get pregnant if you're really not wanting to risk it. And while you definitely have a higher chance close to ovulation, sperm can live up to 5 days. So the signs beforehand are very important. With the 3 signs, if there's 2 signs that are showing that you are fertile, then absolutely do not risk it. If there's only 1 sign that's showing that you're fertile, that you know for sure, check it with the other 2, check it with your previous cycles, get to know your body, and you'll kind of know what chances you're willing to take or what you think your body is doing. And talk to your partner about it, see what they think, see what you guys are going to do. With all that being said, I hope this helps you guys with avoiding a pregnancy. I did get some questions about breastfeeding and other things, and I'm going to talk about those in another video as well. This was avoiding a pregnancy, and I will do achieving a pregnancy and then other random things that can happen or more uncommon, like irregular cycles and breastfeeding, in another video as well. Thank you guys for watching, and we will see you next time. Bye.